Now, my latest little project is to build a railbus for the garden railway outside. It's a railbus Amy by IP Engineering. It's calls itself a connoisseur kit. There's the IP Engineering logo. They do quite a few things for SM32 and 45mm gauge. Basically, it's a plywood body with some die-cast components and a motor drive at the back. There is a speed control, a manual speed control for the motor drive. And as far as building is concerned, it does say it's for the advanced modeler. The plywood goes together quite well. You can use super glue. I've been using just a standard super glue here, and that seems to bond it certainly strongly enough for this. That's fine. My problem at the moment that I'm looking to solve is with the bogie. This model, should I say, that's the railbus Amy, is no longer advertised on their website, so presumably it's no longer available. There is a railbus there. It's a little bit shorter, and doesn't have a bogie on it. It has two driven wheels at the back and a pair of wheels at the front, and it's a little bit shorter. However, this one is fitted with a bogie, and the instructions are really detailed. There's a good dozen or so pages of instructions, quite clear, no problem to follow the instructions, illustrated with full colour images. So I'm very pleased with that, so really good. The problem then. Okay, this is the bogie mount, this is the bogie, and it is supplied with a screw. I've been testing this out, and what I found is that it's fairly easy to strip the screw. It does say to reinforce this part of the bogie because of the additional weight. I don't think that additional weight particularly is a problem. What you've got to consider is, say, allowing a child or somebody to place your model onto the track, because, you know, if they're not getting the bogie straight onto the track, they're going to be applying some force. Let's have a look at that. That's rather a small surface area there. And what I was just working out, if this pencil drawing will show up at all, is that that's the small area we've got there on the bogie mount. You've got a screw going through the bogie frame to there. That point on the edge of the bogie mount acts like a pivot point. That's where a force tended. So if you push down on here, on the edge of the bogie, on this edge of the bogie, you're twisting it, that's acting as a pivot point. See, it runs quite freely when you've made it properly. You've got a fulcrum there with a 20-to-1, 10-to-1 lever mechanical advantage, which is going to apply quite a good strong upward force there. It's no wonder it strips it, particularly as the screw supplied to go into there only goes in by about 3 or 4 threads. And this is a cast white metal, which is mainly lead, isn't it? I mean, it's not the most strong. I know you're supposed to glue it in. So, the solution I'm looking for here, if I can find it, is a way of increasing the bearing area on here. That means that you're moving the potential pivot point out, further out, reducing the mechanical advantage, pulling the screw out of that hole. So just increasing that area that this rests on. Clearly that's going to increase the friction, so maybe looking for bearing that size that would sit on there. Maybe I need to pull apart an old printer or something, have a look at what bearings are in there, because you get some nice bearings in printers. Or use some low friction material. I don't know. Anyway, that's the problem I have that I'm looking for a solution for. How to increase that. Certainly I'm going to replace the screw, drill deeper down. It would be nice if I could somehow get a captive nut on the other side so that I've got an actual, solid bolt fixing. I can't do that now. But if I get more thread embedded in there, of course it can be glued in as well once that's fixed. I don't want to glue it in now. And I'll talk about reinforcing this spreader bar, as they call it, on the bogie later. Presumably these bogies are still fabricated or made by them for use in coaches and things like that. That's what they say it's normally used in. And again, it's not necessarily the weight of the coach, but it's people placing the coach onto track and maybe pushing a little bit hard in the wrong direction while they're trying to locate it on the track. The only other thing is the battery. It's comes with a battery box that takes 6 AA size batteries. It says use rechargeable batteries, and then you get 7.2 volts in total. I'm going to have to go out and buy 6 rechargeable batteries and then look for a way of charging 6 at once. The alternative is to use a battery pack, prefabricated battery pack, so you get for racing cars. I don't have a 6-cell battery pack, I only have a 7-cell battery pack. That might weigh a little bit more, so it'll add a bit more weight to the model, which may be a good thing. It might last a little bit longer, depending on the amperage, amp hours, and would need to find a way of being attached underneath. So my thought is, if I have to buy 6 batteries anyway, might as well buy them as a battery pack and then find a way of attaching them, which is an alternative to this battery box which comes as supplied. So there we are, a couple of thoughts. The only, while I'm talking, the die cast components, they mould them, they're then taken out of the mould, and then I think they just distort as they come out of the mould. So this is the bit where it's for the advanced modeler, because it's quite difficult dealing with things which are distorted. This piece of moulding around the back of the bonnet area was distorted. I tried to make it, reshape it. I didn't apply any heat. I thought it would be malleable enough, and it wasn't malleable enough. It broke. When I put it together, there is some distortion in the shape as it's gone together. My method of fabricating, I didn't solder it. Trying to hold it and solder it would be hard. Is to tack it with super glue, which goes off fairly quickly and holds it in place. You then have to break the super glue joint if you want to reposition it, and then once it's held into the shape, flood it with epoxy glue, which will then make it really good and strong. So super glue tacking of the die cast metal parts. But again, there's an issue I've got. I'll have to read what RM Webb has got to say about dealing with distorted die-cast parts. So, you hopefully will see that in a form where it's running round the outside garden layout at some stage. Don't know how long it will be before I get that finished. Thank you. Sorry I've rambled on a little bit. Just some comments on that. I thought it was worth giving you a little view of the railbus Amy before it has its roof fixed. That's how it is inside. The speed control potentiometer is at this end underneath this brake lever. The interior of the driver's compartment has got a little gear lever in there and a control panel. I've yet to fit the controls. You can see some glistening of not super glue, araldite. I put it together with super glue, and then I put araldite fillets in to reinforce the corners, because I wasn't quite confident and sure about the super glue holding. I don't think I need to worry.